This is the Stochastic Fiction game. It's a timed writing game. This one's going to last 2 hours today. And I'm going to create a stochastic fiction outline, the script, randomly generating story elements. Then within this 2 hours, write to those story elements. Create a story, read it at the end. Oop. Let's do... All right. Well, I had a little technical difficulties there. I needed to get my environment to be able to execute the script. Now that I have that environment, I've executed the script and generated the stochastic fiction story elements for today. Let's find out what file I'd output it into. Whoa, I got a bunch of files open here today. Exposure. That's how I write. Let's just open up this one right here. This is the one that was created. A little chaos. But for today's stochastic fiction game, we have these story elements. For setting time, we have the present. For setting main location, we have a museum. Conflict, person versus supernatural. Quantity of primary characters, many. Point of view, second. Tense, past tense. Genre, romantasy. Format, your format. Meaning flash fiction. First chapter of a book, middle chapter of a book, last chapter of a book. I'm going to go with flash fiction for today. So those are the story elements for today's stochastic fiction game. Now I have an hour and 58 minutes to, well, write this story. Romantasy is the mix between romance and fantasy, where romance is the leading narrator. Fantasy is just there to get you to the romance. At least that's my definition for today. It's a little bit new of a genre for me. Quite enjoying it. Yeah. Well, I mean, if it's person versus supernatural and you're in a museum, oddly, I think within the past 2 months, I've had a person versus supernatural in a museum. They seem to go in these sort of patterns and clumps of consistency of random alignment with something. I won't talk anymore. I don't know what's coming out of my mouth right now. A little jarred still that I had so many unsaved or uncharted files into my Git repository. I think those are the PDF files I exported yesterday to be able to proof other words. A press kit and a synopsis of a novel. That novel being a United States of Eden Testament. CEO President Trump is AI Christ. But that's not this story. I don't want that to distract because this has to be present time in a museum. Some supernatural conflict. Many characters. Point of view second. Whoa. You got that right. Past tense. Romantasy and flash fiction. So you, man, I don't know. I mean, supernatural, romance, fantasy with in a museum with a supernatural. I think it's just the story that's there. I just need to find it. It's the romance part. I like going down this idea of writing romance and a romantasy because it's just not something I write. Very specific to that genre. I respect it. I just, romance doesn't fall into the subject matter of God, sex, and government often. Maybe sex a little bit, but that's just to get to the point. I got to think of it more as like the romance is the sex. In this case, there's got to be a supernatural romance. Now, do I have that supernatural romance between two supernatural beings? Maybe. That's been done many times. Or the supernatural romance with something that's supernatural or natural, and of course that's been done many times too. I'm thinking of the movie Ghost with Patrick Swayze and Demi Moore. Was that who was in that? I hate to say that name wrong, but Demi Moore. Sorry. That was a good movie. That was definitely Ghost, supernatural romance. This is Romantasy. I gotta have some adventure. I gotta have a good plot in a flash fiction story in a genre that doesn't lend itself to using few words. Doesn't lend itself. I don't know if that's a proper term of. Doesn't use few words. How's that? Or maybe it could be lending itself to use few words because it should use fewer. I think every story should use fewer words. And those 200,000 word books could be probably about cut in half. It'd still be good. So, unless you want to get subsumed in a world for 200,000 words, then it's just 100,000 less words you have to live in that world, which I can respect. It's just not me as a reader. Maybe not anymore. Maybe when I was younger and had more time. And less jaded. With a romantasy. So let's go. We got a museum. One of them's going to be a ghost. I wish I had my dice close. I know I have a dice close. Let me grab a dice to roll to see. We're going to pair bond two people here. And this is just going to be their gender. So 1, 2 male, 3, 4 female. 1, 2 female, 3, 4 male, 5, 6 they. We've got a female. We got a they. Ghost is going to be a they. Because they're going to have a hard time. And it's going to be a ghost. Spiritual specter, whatever you want label. We won't call this story Ghost. They won't be making on a potter's wheel or anything like that. Yeah. Words and stories, I suppose. What do I got to go with here? They're going to be a guard. How does this romantasy? Romantasy is going to happen in one night. I only have 600 words. I feel like I've done a romantasy recently, but it was like the last chapter of a book or something like that. And that was honestly, that's what I should have done today. I think I made a mistake. I chose poorly, but let's go with what I chose. The game's the game. And I got an hour and 52 minutes, so it's not like I'm hurting for time, I'm just hurting for subject matter. And it's got to be second person. So you walk into a museum, and there's a ghost. And that ghost says, I love you. Could they do like a historical... Maybe they want to be alive again, and there's a way. I mean, isn't that usually also like how you can like finish the romantasy? Or you... Because if you're in a museum... Like the movie Ghost is a little bit different, and all those other ones where you have one person attached in the spiritual world to another person. Usually they're close. So there's that drama of like, I've died and now I'm attached to this person as a ghost until I can resolve something, and then I'll go to heaven. Or I'll live on and get over it, and the credits will roll in the movie. That's a lot of words and a lot of time. But it's a good trope. And I got to do it in like one scene. It could be a long one. Are they? Maybe they're going to go to the other side. You want. I mean, it's a romantasy, so we got to get a little bit like over dramatic, maybe. I don't, I think you have to get your sexy on at some point. But maybe there could be just like a sexy thought of the museum. And then you're going to be the ghost. So I already said the ghost was they. So you're going to be they. You're dead. Don't matter your gender, you're dead. Your body means nothing. Um, and you see a woman enter. But if you go from the perspective of the ghost, though, you're dead. I guess we could just start spitting facts and see if it lands into prose or something. Some voice that one's gonna be like, "Wow, I want to read that." I don't know if this is gonna happen today. You're dead. All right, we got second person in a museum. Maybe they're both ghosts. Maybe the person, but it's got to be a romantasy. Like I had a storyline that the you dead could be the human that just becomes dead. And they become dead in a museum. And these are the type of ghosts that are attached to an artifact. There's many versions of ghosts. Most are like attached to a thing. That's where the story comes up. This was Isabel. She died in her bed, so she lives in this house for eternity. Or this was the car owned by a famous actor, and people have died in it, and is there a curse? The Egyptian curse of the tombs. I don't know if the curse of the tombs is the same as a ghost following. I don't know where I was bringing that up. I just said it out loud and I thought about it, and it's a stupid thought. I don't know where I was going with that. I think it's the idea of some spiritual thing that can bestow harm upon someone exists in a location and could possibly follow those things and objects around if you take them from it. And there's a museum. More than one story has been written about ghosts in a museum. More than one's probably been written about ghosts in a museum having a romance. So let's be original. You're dead. Maybe they did just die. What is... And you don't want to leave. You're dead in a museum and you don't want to leave it. They brought it in a bag. It's romantasy though. Like now I gotta have a romance. Like this was just person versus being dead. I think I'd have it right now in my head. This person would get to know somebody else. Maybe they get charmed. No, but it's got to be complete. So if I had chosen, I should just chosen novel first chapter. And then I could have, that would have been a lot easier. And then I could have just hand waved how the book ends versus actually having to have a conclusion that makes it into a story and not just a statement of something. This has to be an adventurous too. Not just this is going to be a philosophical. I thought of having a trope story where you have two people talking about all the dead people tropes and how they don't know what they're doing because of the way they've been informed, and then it's your soul and blah blah blah. That's not going to work. Doesn't fall within the story elements. So you're dead, and so it's got to be holding. Now I got to think of a ghost. It won't be from the perspective of the ghost. And why are you doing? What's your motive? Holding. I don't have the imagination right now for some sort of undead holder, a thing, a phylactery of one's soul. think the Licht used one of those things in Dungeons and Dragons to contain the soul, and I think it was taken from Mythos Undead. Not TSR created lore. That's in my mind right now. And that would not be in a museum. Unless it was a fantasy adventure museum. I don't even know the type of museum I'm going into. It's not going to be like natural history. Maybe, Space museum. Let's do that. I don't know. This is becoming more dumb, stupid. Stupid, I think is the word. They're going to be in a space museum. I don't got time to. I mean, I'm 60 minutes, almost 60 minutes into this thing. What do I got? I'm in a space museum. Someone's dead. And I got to get a romance going. That's weird. It's weird, but I guess it's weird as like some idealized human having intercourse with an elf. I mean, when you think about it, it's not as but it's undead. That's weird. That's like necrophilia. It's a little bit odd. Yeah, I mean, people have done it, so I should just stop talking and do it, accept it. So your soul, your ghost, your soul floats in a museum. There we go. Oh, this could be the dramatic departure, maybe. The why. Why do I want to go? So your soul floats in a museum, holding the space helmet, grasping. Around the space helmet. The deepest of passions. Hugged. I gotta get, it's romantasy, right? So if it's romantasy, I gotta have like aspects of romance novels. I'm gonna just start a little, it's not gonna get like porn level sexy. It might get a little sexy, but I ain't gonna go too far. I don't want it to because I don't want that to distract. I only have so many words too. So your soul floats in a museum around space helmet. The deepest of passions hugged like your lover. Like, let's give the lover a name. So I had the human be female and the ghost is non-gendered. It's gonna be ghost. But it would have a name for sure. Because they're not gonna have intercourse. And I don't think there's gonna be any sort of like hardcore or even softcore porn. Doesn't need to be. But there's got to be passion and love and attraction. So your soul floats in a museum around a space helmet. Held, floating with you. Held above the ground. Held against the forces of gravity. By the deepest of passions. Hugged. Space helmet hugged. Let's not go held. Hugged against the forces of gravity. By the deepest of passions. A longing touch of the ghost, the space ghost. I need a name. I need like a very generic name. And it's got to be the now, though. So I can't get too crazy. I can't say, like, this is the future and we ran out of names, so we come up with Zip Pop as a proper name to label a human child as it breathes its first breath. That's not this. I need a normal name. I haven't used 1,000 times already. There's probably some that I have. Maybe not 1,000. Hundreds. I could see 200 at least. Maybe. I'll take that back. Maybe I've used same names in about 40 stories. That would be valid and probably true. I have the means to find out. I just should pass on that subject to something else that's more interesting, like this story. I'm just talking because I don't know what to write. I don't know a name. Ryan. Maybe the space helmet represents, but if you're the human, though, I'm not floating. Like maybe they're in passion. I forgot. What is the tense on this too? Past tense. Okay, well that's good to know right now. So we got museum, we have supernatural. Your soul floated in the museum. Your soul floated in a museum, and your body hugged. It's gonna be a space helmet. Hugged a space helmet. I'll leave the against the forces of gravity because I want the language to be I don't know. Long and what I would consider word porn. So your soul floated in a museum and your body hugged, past tense, a space helmet. Against the forces of gravities by the deepest of passions for a longing to touch Ryan. Ryan. The dawn, sun glare through the windows of the Aviation Museum. Oh boy, there's never been, ever, a story about some undead ghost sexy pilot coming back to do something. Never. Ryan, the dawn sun glared through the windows of the Aviation Museum. And through a faded glimmer of Ryan, I don't know. The dawn sun glared through the windows of the Aviation Museum through the faded glimmer of the ghost. Let's just say the ghost. We don't have to like walk around the ghost Ryan. Ryan. Are you seen for some reason? Maybe a belief. Maybe your soul led your mind and body to wander with Ryan. on Sundays. Okay, that's fluffy. Let's go for it. What's the helmet? The helmet's gonna allow him to like dump his dead soul into it so it could be transported someplace. It's gonna be a jar to hold his soul, and then she can go with him everywhere. That's it. So that's the helmet is so they could. So yeah, it's I don't know. Does she does other ghosts? That's the thing too. Like, are there other ghosts that you see? Um, Many characters, and why would she see the ghosts and others not? I don't want to answer that question. I don't have the words. Um, your soul floated in the museum and your body hugged the space helmet. Blah blah blah. Ryan with Ryan on Sundays. The what is it? It gotta be like a space name. The court the tarmac. What? This is an aviator, and how like now we gotta like at least have some understanding of why they're attached to their plane, assuming that's how souls work in this world. I write. Given that the tarmac, the courtyard, the tarmac. Uh, Something bigger than a B-52. I don't know. Yeah, planes, especially military, any planes. I'm just not a plane person. We'll just call it the tarmac. Ryan, who flew. Like, why? Why are they even there? Like, is it their jacket? Maybe they were an SR-71 pilot, and that's the SR-71 helmet that would allow his body that is trapped within the almost spacesuit like aircraft to leave. Yes. The helmet had been not at the museum for some reason. Someone kept it. This may be. I'm thinking wife already. But then, then that like muddies and complicates the thing. Maybe Ryan's not. Well, it's got to be romantasy. Yeah, in a spacesuit. That's the way that. Yeah, I don't know. That's the magic though. I'm gonna go with it. I got an hour and 30 minutes. The helmet will complete the spacesuit. So Ryan, who died, I do know about the SR-71 who flew. We'll say the flight suit stood in the museum. The flight helmet rested on his father's. Let's just throw in the father. Be like on the father's somewhere of prominence in an American house. Fireplace mantle. Just say the mantle. Mantle? We'll say that's how I'm going to spell mantle. The father's. Rested on the mantle. In the greeting room. Of Ryan's father's house. Okay. So how am I going to... This is, I guess I do the whole thing. The whole hour and 27 minutes left is going to be the heist, the stealing. Yeah, I write those stories a lot. It's they have to take a thing. That's the adventure, though. Like, I have to make this adventurous. This is all I got. Lots of story ideas. Never really truly realized until you're forced to do it, and you're not good at romance or romantasy. There is a skill at writing it. Absolutely. All right, so your soul floated in a museum and your body hugged the space helmet against the forces of gravity by the deepest of passions for a longing to touch Ryan. Longing to walk with Ryan. Ryan. The dawn sun glared through the windows of the aviation museum and through a faded glimmer of the ghost Ryan. Ryan, who you've seen for some reason, maybe a belief, maybe your soul led your mind and body to wander with Ryan on Sundays. Ryan, who sat with you on a bench in silence and speaking between people passing the courtyard that's called the tarmac. Ryan, who flew an SR-71X that exploded in flight. Okay, boom. I don't need to explain too much. And we'll say it was like a picnic. I think that's picnic. Man, picnic. Where am I at? I have no idea. A food courtyard. Let's just that. Is it past? How far is it present? What's the present? Okay. So food carts are popular everywhere. So food cart courtyard called the tarmac. Ryan, who flew the SR-71 NR, so let's just drop that D. Okay, now I'm getting a little ahead of my head. I think I can get this. I should write the end. What's the end? This is the end. Wait, I've already wrote the end. It's the beginning. Ryan, who flew the SR, exploded the flight suit for reasons from the flight suit from the explosion recovered. The flight suit recovered from the ground. This is a little bit weird, but I don't have time to try to rationalize it. They just did it. People honor war dead in different ways. They took the flight suit. The flight suit. This would be like Ryan's flight suit. The flight helmet for reasons like beyond what? Like that's where I'm at right now. Like for reasons I don't know why. I can't leave the building. I don't know why I'm here. This is I don't know. It's something. Romantasy, maybe. In the mornings on Sundays, you'd walk around with Ryan in a spacesuit and hold hands. It would look creepy though. Like you'd have to get there really early. Almost, it couldn't be a normal thing. Does that look really weird? Just a spacesuit walking, even if you're the first customer in the morning. You have people to work there too, and I think they noticed that there was a spacesuit walking around. So this is gonna have to be like the classic during the nighttime at a museum, things go crazy. So with them. Maybe it could be like some. I don't know. I don't. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the helmet. It represents completing the soul. I don't know. Go steal this from my father, and I will be able to leave here. Or maybe that's how it ends. Ooh, wow. That's even more powerful. She has to go steal the helmet and then return it so the ghost of Ryan can then leave the museum and go back and see their father one last time as he he takes the helmet off and puts it on the mantle and dies. The soul is released. I don't know if that counts as a romantasy. It's a very low. Yeah, I mean, I'd need like a weird, quickly one sentence sex scene. Maybe that'll happen, but we'll see where we're at. I got an hour and 17 minutes on this clock left. It's counting down. So I need to write more. You stay at the museum, walk around once you walk from the tarmac. A spacesuit collapsed. He dragged it back into the museum, feeling stress and rage. I need the helmet. But it's our flight suit. Glimmering by the SR-71 flight suit. A few people looking at planes meandered. And paid no mind to you talking. Well, your father has. One you told me about. One. I can leave. I don't know. This is. It's something. Where am I going with this? I don't know. Well, yeah. So I don't know if I'm going to start it the same way. I'm just going to go back. Tense is going to get weird as long as it's all past tense. You once tried walking with Ryan beyond the tarmac in the spacesuit. I gotta have what are they like? What else are they talking about? I should drop a little bit of that maybe. Why? For months. You walked with Ryan, acting like you talked on your phone. Say football. Boom. Ryan was a football fan. What would be like common things that someone, 50 years ago, we'll say? Planes. Father is still alive somehow. It's a very healthy father. Let's see. I'll say it was the 80s, the late 80s. I mean, this person could at least be born 1970. I put the father about 1950. Yeah, we could still have an old father. Why not? Maybe the dad dies, didn't want to. If I had this romantasy was even longer, I could envision like there was some unspoken hope that you never die before your kid. And he arrives in the spacesuit, and the father who's dying sees him and dies. And then the kid takes off the helmet, Ryan, and spirit floats away or dissipates, whatever energy changing thing you think the afterlife is. I don't know what I meant by energy changing thing. I just said it. It felt right. Stupid shit comes out of my mouth more often than not. So for this story, though, I gotta have about football and planes. Well, football. We'll make it one rivalry would still remain to this day. Oh, it's not like it was back in the 80s, 90s. Anyway, say Brian was a Bears fan. I argued. And you both joined. Fought Ryan. No gender, it's a ghost. A phone. I guess this is like Romantasy now. I don't know where the adventure is. I mean, the theft is the adventure, but I have to build up the relationship. At least have some reason why. I have time. Ryan, you argued about Bears and Packers. You bought Ryan a phone to join a fantasy league. You've seen Ryan's glimmering shoulders slump when he talked about your partner. All right, at least I have a paragraph of why they connected. Start with how it ends, where it's going to go. Could be funny hijinks right here. There's no romance though. You got to have your moment. I guess we have had the romance a little bit. We're getting romance. The entire story is about romancing, but we have to have some adventure. And the fantasy is the fact that there's a ghost in some human that's able to somehow talk. Whatever you think a ghost is, they exist. If you don't think ghosts exist, well, you understand that there is a thing called a ghost, and pick your favorite fiction. about it. So yes, if we get the helmet, we're gonna leave this place. I think leave it behind. I could steal it. Maybe. But your dad still jogs. It lifts. Still. I don't want to get too well into detail. I think at least told the story, make it a little bit abstract. Drop it right there. I will promise to return it. Few words were needed. Smile. What's the plan? Maybe do they steal it? Like that'd be the adventure. Why would you want to steal it though? Just in case it didn't happen, I suppose. Didn't want. I mean, this is silly. It's got to be held by something that's a little bit more adventurous than a father, because then you could just go talk. I mean, I feel like that I've got to have someone shoot a thing, run from a thing, and now making it like a heartwarming romance. I guess it's romantasy. It's fantasy. It's taking this ghost story trope. And maybe I could just justify it that that's sort of like part of the genre of when humans interact with spiritual things, whether you believe they're fiction or nonfiction. This is stochastic fiction game, so in this case it's fiction. Few words were needed until you smiled. I've only spied on your father for you to know. I could steal it, but I could also talk with your father. Seems nice. What if it doesn't work? Yes, that's why. This is the reason why they won't. They need to still it. They're just doubtful. They don't want to further disappoint the father, just in case. So they got to still the helmet. Reasonably healthy 80-year-old by then. Had the kid young. We'll say had the kid at 16. Father. We'll say 18. And by 36 graduated, 4 years, 40. The kid goes into crashes at 40. Be about 90 years old, we'll say. Do I need to add 50 to that? I could have this be the 1990 when the crash happened, which would have put this person, let's say 22, 24. I don't know what age you have to be an SR-71 pilot. Could be older than that. Regardless, if the birth age was he's in the 90s, spry. You shrug. What else you gonna do? Who's this? I gotta think of you. I'm not gonna define. It's gonna be the true you. Try to make it generic enough. You want to see. Like them people, yeah. Yeah, okay. Probably gotta. I feel like there's got to be a social media moment where they try to record the ghost and it doesn't work. But if it's present, as far as when the time is, that would be appropriate. I feel it appropriate. So you shrug. Oh, what else you going to do? You want to see if Ryan can walk from the museum. You're not a thief. You uh I don't know, just trying to write something. I don't know how it's working out, but it's something. It's got to be adventure. Something's got to happen. No, I don't know. Let's see here. We got 52 minutes, so something can happen. So you woke on a Sunday morning near after midnight. You parked in Workside and walked to the Middlebrook neighborhood and Ryan's dad's house. He opened the door. The helmet was just right there. It wasn't that heavy. Oh, she dies, maybe. Let's leave that open. I just stepped. You heard the cock. A shotgun. I have to decide right now what's going to happen. I have no idea whether this wasn't how I was thinking of ending it. I thought I wrote the ending. Well, I did at the beginning, but I thought they were going to be alive. And I also thought that when I had the storyline of the helmet, that they would just take it. They'd maybe get chased. I imagined lights coming up. But if they do it on a Sunday morning, where there's not like anything out of their typical routine, I think probably be more successful. Um, Yeah, I mean, I like the setup. So, my question in my mind right now, the question: who dies? Does she get shot? I think there's gonna be the gunfire. Gunfires. Person shouts. Next one's buckshot. What's the difference between the rounds and the shells of a shotgun? They're like buckshot, slug. What is it? Shot. I gotta look this up. Shotgun. Buckshot versus birdshot. Okay, that was birdshot. The next one's buckshot. Person shouts. You ran with a helmet. There was a shot. Um, there was a shot that missed. $46 minutes left. I think I got something. I gotta decide whether they're dead or not. I'm not gonna decide that. You ran with the helmet. There was buckshot way back, but then the night, your hand was shaking and lungs burned trying to get the key into the ignition. A little odd. I think she's dead. I think so. I hadn't expected it to be that way, but I hadn't really expected anything, so I can't necessarily feel as if I won't meet any expectations. You drove into Dawn in the museum parking lot. You held the helmet and put on the big bag. I don't know. Your face reflected the parking lot. Called. You ran with a helmet. There was a shot way back, and then the night. Your hand was shaking and lungs burned trying to get the key into the ignition of the car. You drove into dawn in the museum parking lot. You held the helmet and put it in a big bag. You looked around the parking lot. You calmed. You paced outside a bit and checked your body. You grabbed the bag with the helmet and walked to Suit and Ryan. Maybe it might be a thing. I gotta end. I think I was gonna have two endings. I have two endings. There were a few others that I can't remember even now. I mean, that's old. The memory goes. One was Ryan goes back to the father, and it's the final resting place. This one became kind of sudden, thinking there would be getting caught. I wanted to make it adventurous, like having you just go and steal in the house, and there's nothing. It's not adventurous. This is adventurous, and this is the twist. So I think she's dead. She doesn't know it yet. Yeah. Your soul floated in the museum. I think I'm going to start with that. Maybe. I don't know. But I don't need to know. I just need to try. And I'll see if I think I failed or succeeded. I have some adventurer. Now, how's the reveal that she's dead? I removed the body part from the beginning. That way, at least sort of. I'm gonna do this. And now she's attached to the helmet. Oh my god, that's twisted. Now they're like forever soul linked just because they like talking about football and they introduce the other person to a phone. Now they're linked for eternity. That sounds like a nightmare. Um, yeah. Well, yeah, well, your soul floated in a museum and hugged the space helmet against the forces of gravity by the deepest of passions for longing to walk with Ryan. That's a bit much. Just had some great conversations for about a year. I just want to walk too. Sure, I like the innocence of it. But the deepest of passions? Come on. let's leave it though. Like, it makes me feel weird, but maybe that's why I don't write romantasy, even if this is considered romantasy, and I would probably argue it doesn't. But it's close enough to where I can do right now. Do I even want to say that they're dead? Like, I don't want to spell it out. Say, hey, she's dead. She got shot. Longing to walk with Ryan for eternity. God. That sounds so forever. Now that she's dead. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to. Like, I like the idea of just spelling it out by saying they're dead. Your soul floated in a museum. And I guess I can just like, I can leave the for eternity here as like I'm just copying and pasting the words, and this is how it's going to sort of end with this forever, and you get that they died. I hope so. If not, well, whatever. That's, I can only do so much, and I'm only so good at life. The obsessive nature of writing. I think I gotta name this thing. I think I'm done. I don't want to mess this up too much. Like, it probably should read over it a little more thorough, but I don't need to prolong this. I need a name for this. Romantasy. Long walks. Long walks. Maybe. No. I don't know. Long walks for the soul. That sounds not like. Well, why not? Let's just let's do that. Long walks for the soul. I can have it about a walking thing. They love walking. She just walked to the museum one day. Your soul floated to the museum. All right, let's get let's see, for months. During your long walks. I don't know. This is just something. I'm trying to see what else. So for months you walked with Ryan acting like. For months you talk about football. What's one other thing? They got to have some connection. Maybe she's flying a family. I think that's how you spell Cessna, the famous plane, the Cessna. Okay. I think at least I want to put the more walking. Like, I could have chapters, a backstory. Again, maybe I should have. I chose my own sort of format today. So maybe I should have done a novel first chapter, and I could have had a much. I don't know where I was going with that. I don't need to go anywhere. I just need to say these story elements out loud, because I'll be thinking of these when I read the story out loud, and if I've even gotten close to what they should be. For today's stochastic fiction game, the story elements: setting time present, setting main location museum, conflict person versus supernatural, quantity of primary characters many, point of view second, tense past tense, genre romantasy, a format flash fiction. I'll try to read this without seem like I'm trying to speed read this. Have time. The story is Long Walks for the Soul. Long walks for the soul. Your soul floated in a museum and hugged a space helmet against the forces of gravity by the deepest of passions for longing to walk with Ryan. Longing. I know I'm going to start over because it's the first sentence. But longing to walk with Ryan. That sounds so, but I'll leave it. I'll get over it. I'll read it again from the top. Long walks for the soul. Your soul floated in a museum and hugged a space helmet against the forces of gravity by the deepest of passions for a longing to walk with Ryan. Ryan. The stunned sun glared through the windows of the Aviation Museum and threw a faded glimmer of the ghost Ryan. Ryan, who you've seen for some reason, maybe a belief, maybe your soul led your mind and body to wander with Ryan on Sundays during your long walks alone. Ryan, who sat with you on the bench in silence and speaking between people passing through the food cart courtyard called the tarmac. Ryan, who flew an SR-71X that exploded in flight. Ryan's flight suit, recovered from the ground, stood in the museum next to an SR-71 to honor Sergeant Ryan. The flight helmet rested on the mantel in the greeting room of Ryan's father's house. I don't know why I'm here. You're not the first to see me, but you're the first to believe I exist. For months, you walked with Ryan through the museum, acting like you talked on the phone, but you talked about football, flying, and family with Ryan. Ryan, you argued about Bears and Packers, and you both talked about your first solo flight in a Cessna. You bought Ryan a phone so you could both have teams on a fantasy football league. You seen Ryan's glimmer shoulders slump when you talked about your partner. After your partner left for a job on the East Coast, you hid in a crew closet and stayed at the museum a few nights. You'd walk around with Ryan in his spacesuit and hold hands with him. You once tried walking with Ryan in the spacesuit beyond the tarmac, and the spacesuit collapsed. You dragged it back into the museum, feeling fear and hope. Ryan left only for the suit to stand and Ryan to be in it and run as security walked the halls. The helmet, said Ryan one Sunday morning, glimmering by the SR-71 flight suit. A few people looking at planes meandering and paid you no mind talking to Ryan. The one you told me about, the one that your father has. Yes, says Ryan. If we get the helmet, I can leave this place. I think I can leave it behind. I could steal it. But your dad still jogs and lifts at his age a lot. Ryan glimmered a smile in their deep voice. like it came from within, spoke. I will promise to return it. Few words were needed until you smiled. I've only spied on your father for you to know about him. I could steal it, but I could also talk with your father. He seems nice. And what if it doesn't work or he can't see me? If I walk from here, well, no. You shrug. What else could you do? You want to see if Ryan can walk from the museum. I could probably get it. You're not a thief, but you can find a hidden key by watching Ryan's father for 2 days and run fast. You woke on a Sunday morning near after midnight. You parked in Workside and walked to Middlebrook neighborhood and Ryan's dad's house. The key opened the door. The helmet was just right there on the mantel. It wasn't that heavy. As you stepped near the door, you heard a cock of a shotgun. A gun fired. A person shouted. That was birdshot. Next one's buckshot. You ran with the helmet. There was a shot way back, and then the night. Your hand was shaking and lungs burned trying to get a key in the ignition of the car. You drove into dawn in the museum parking lot. You held the helmet and put it in a big bag. You looked around the parking lot. You calmed. You paced outside a bit and checked your body. You grabbed the bag with the helmet and walked to the suit and Ryan. Your soul floated in a museum and hugged the space helmet against the forces of gravity by the deepest of passions for a longing to walk with Ryan for eternity. Well, that was Video Game Flash. That was not Video Game Flash fiction. It's crazy when you don't think. That was Stochastic fiction game for the day. Let's rate that story. I don't hate it. I mean, I should have went novel for chapter because it was Romantasy. You got to build on that more. There's probably lacking the adventure part of it, the fantasy, a little bit. So for the setting time present, yeah, this could happen in modern day society. I kind of did that timeline. In a museum, it definitely takes place in a museum. Person versus supernatural, yes. I don't know about the verses, but there is a conflict. That's the primary part of this, one of the conflicts of this. Quantity of primary characters, many, there's at least there's just two. Maybe I failed on that. Point of view second, I think I have the second point of view. Tense, past tense, yes. Genre, romantasy, probably. Format, flash fiction, I think so. Let's go ahead and finish the story. Add the story. I'll give it a 3 or 4. I don't know. There's things that I've probably missed. But we always do miss them. We just got to at least try to hit it. I'm going to go not necessarily hit other things, but have other thoughts. Until then, let's try to write a little bit more and edit a lot.